missions, shall we say, with this organization kind of thing. So they're kind of the longer the franchise goes, the harder it is apparently for them to come up with something to film, and so it's
got to be
skewing more and more and more. I'm like, but we like it because of the original story, and so.
But it's got to get more and more ridiculous because they got to keep going. They got to keep outdoing the previous one.
I guess a little bit. I mean, something to keep it interesting, sure, but not the whole. You don't have to.
They could do one of those movies. Make it a small, personal, but like really deadly stakes type of movie, more down to earth, street level, and it would still probably kick ass.
How about one of the big things is you change where you film it?
Yeah.
The cities, there was the one that had a lot of desert scenes. There was the one more recently that had a lot of scenes at the North Pole. There, you're talking about cars. So let's put the cars in different situations, make the cars the characters and the people more the backup to the cars and where the cars are. I think you could continue going for who knows how long. Good to me, a good street chase scene can be redone a million times because there's a million different things you can do to have them get away or obstacles to overcome or whatever, rather than having to make the explosions bigger and the jumps bigger and a tank on a bridge. It's like, well, that's a way to go, but I mean, yeah. So
I do have to admit, in the spinoff movie with The Rock, there was a moment in that movie that was so cheesy, but I loved it so much. And I can't remember the exact circumstances, but he was in the hospital. He had his arm in a cast, and then he learns that something has happened and he's got to go save him, and he flexes and the cast pops off his arm.
He breaks the cast. Yeah.
Crack me up. It was so cheesy. I mean, that they didn't mean that as people are going to think this is cool. They're going to go, people are going to laugh because it's cheesy,
Yeah. That's, and I think the last one that came out, or the one that's getting ready to come out or whatever, is supposed to be the end of it. I think there is an official last movie from what I understand, and I don't know if it's been released or if it's coming out this year.
Well, there's a Ben Affleck, Matt Damon movie. I think that just came up on Netflix or somewhere like that I keep meaning to check out, and I haven't had a chance. But
if you see either one of the Accountant movies, those are good.
I think I've seen the first one. I'll have to go back and look.
That's Ben Affleck as a he's on some kind of spectrum. I don't know if it's like the spectrum or if he has some other
neurodivergent anyway.
Yeah, there we go. And so they really played that up in the first movie. I mean, that was part of his character. In the second movie, they kind of, unfortunately, again, they get away from that a little bit more towards the action-y side of things, which in the second movie, he teams up with his brother, who turns out to be the bad guy at the end of the first movie, the dude that played the Punisher and was on Walking Dead, and that's his brother. So he goes up against him at the end of the first movie, but then they team up to do something in the second movie. So
there's a lot of people. I'm looking at it on Just Watch, and it's not available on any of my streaming services, but I can rent it from Apple Plus. So
it's
I'm gonna try at some point. That
it's entertaining.
I feel like I've watched it, but none of what you're saying strikes any memory. So I don't think I've actually seen it. I'm thinking of something else.
You find out a little bit more about Ben Affleck's character in the movie, but that's not the point. The point is the action, particularly with the two of them, because the Walking Dead Punisher dude, of course, he's all action. I don't know if he does anything other than action right now. So they really play it up.
For a long time, I never liked that guy, that John Bernthal.
Yeah.
And then when I started to watch Walking Dead, I was so pumped for Walking Dead. And then I found out he was in it. And I was like, and I'm like, well, but he plays Shane. I said, all right, well, I guess I can get behind that. Shane was an asshole.
I was going to say, Shane was a dick.
He was just so good as the Punisher that I've really gotten to like him. He was just, if you look at the not the original Punisher War Journal series, but the one in the 90s that John Romita Jr. drew.
Mhm.
And he gives the Punisher this really like almost broken nose, hawk nose type of look. And that's what John Bernthal has going on, and it's just for me, that's why it matched up.
He plays it really well. Although I will say from the movies, my favorite Punisher is Thomas Jane.
He's good. Yeah.
I like him.
It was a different take on the Punisher, but it followed a lot of the Garth Ennis Punisher, which was fun.
Yeah. I didn't like Dolph. I don't find Dolph appealing really in much anything that he's been in. And the other dude after Thomas Jane that did it, I don't even know if I would recognize him in something. I didn't like.
He's been in a ton of crap, but I know who you're talking about.
Has he really? Yeah,
Ray Stevens or something like that. Yeah,
I don't know. I know him as a comedic musician, Ray Stevens.
Yeah, so. I maybe Ray Stevenson. I can't think of his full name, but
Mississippi Squirrel Revival.
He's like bad guy number one in a lot of.
Is he? Okay, yeah.
Did you ever see The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg?
I don't think so.
He was a bad guy in that. I think he played Firefly in the second G.I. Joe movie.
Oh, that I've seen, but I wouldn't recognize him for Adam. Yeah.
But yeah.
So is anybody on with us?
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, boo.
I am recording on my Audacity.
Yeah, let me check. Mine is on. Let me make sure it's recording this time. La la la. Looks like it. Yeah. So sorry about that last week.
It worked out. Episode's going up tomorrow, yo. It's up for the patrons now. All right, let me wet the old whistle. Now, I read this last week. Tried to read it again this morning, but I ran out of time. But I'm sure I'll remember everything. All right, here we go. Oh, wait, here comes somebody that's going to get in the way. Is she going to come my way? What is she doing? Here she comes. Just don't step on the keyboard. Thank you. All right. The following episode was recorded in front of a live streaming audience on Sunday, February the 1st, 2026. You're listening to the Comic Book Super Show, and this is episode number 2, Terror. Hello and welcome to the Comic Book Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how you doing?
I am doing my utmost to keep warm.
Yeah, we're actually supposed to get the warmest we've had since the big snowstorm today. It's going to get up to like 40 or 42.
Ooh, woof. That actually means some snow meltage there and maybe some ice meltage. Yeah.
It's out there.
Sorry, I'm looking forward to like 18 and it's 10 now.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It was that's how it was yesterday. It's like once it gets above 5 degrees, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like a freaking heat wave.
Yeah, really.
It's 25 out there right now.
Ooh, woof. Okay.
I'm starting to sweat actually.
No, it's actually decent. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. We might not. I don't think we have that to look forward to. Like Tuesday it's supposed to get around there. So we've got a couple days and we'll have a break. But then I think the word is that we're supposed to get more of this kind of weather near the end of next weekend. So
yeah. I hope not too bad this next weekend because I'm actually going to try to go down to Pittsburgh again. So
okay.
Couldn't do it this weekend. So, all right. Well, before we get into this issue that we're talking about today, I have a bit of feedback for us.
All right. Cool beans.
This is it's a YouTube comment from the first live stream. And it's from Fatal J, who says, "Congrats on episode 1. This was a solid start. I liked how relaxed the conversation felt and how you let the discussion breathe instead of trying to force a format right away. Going back to Kitty Pryde and Wolverine #1 was a smart choice too. It set a good tone for what this show can be. You can tell this is coming from real fans just talking comics. Looking forward to seeing how the show grows. Great episode. Great first episode."
Wow, that's a nice handful of positive strokes there. I like that.
That was a nice, it was a fun to run across last week.
And it's cool because I think that's probably what we're both after. So it's what we're wanting to do, the way we're wanting to be, not the way we're wanting to seem, but the way we're wanting to be, seems to be working, and we're doing it. So it's like, okay, well that's cool then.
All right. You want to get started with this book then? This issue?
Yes, and
raw comic. This floppy.
Raw. I hate that word.
It's a raw floppy.
Floppy. I hate the word floppy. I'm like, raw. I can. At least raw doesn't bother me. I think it's kind of dumb too, because what's the opposite of raw? Well, it's a book that has a hard plastic condom on it. Is what it is. That way, it doesn't get any infections. It's So whatever. Something that we didn't mention. Now, one of our followers bought the miniseries.
Yes.
So apparently, it is
Billy D.
It is reachable. And Billy's not one to go out there and spend $50-$60 on the miniseries. So I imagine it was pretty inexpensive for him to pull the trigger on it. Although he's not Professor Allen inexpensive, but he's, Yeah. Do you know Professor Allen? The Quarter Bin podcast?
I know that I've heard of the Quarter Bin podcast, yes.
That's his whole point for the show. It has to be that he got it for a quarter or less.
Nice.
And, so.
Right.
What I want to do is I want to give people some other reprint ideas for this in case we didn't do that last week. And I know that a lot of younger people seem to prefer this method of acquiring and maintaining comic books. I'm not a fan. I prefer the real actual, because part of my escapism is I want it to be as much like it was as it can be. Yep. And to me, reading the original comic book with the ads or potentially a tear in the cover or what have you, it would have been the possibility in 1984 when I sat down in high school and was reading this. And so, right? High school? Yeah, 1984. So that's what I prefer. I'm not it looks so pretty on my shelf kind of person. Those people kind of turn me off. So we've got, for the whole series itself, this will probably maintain, but I'm just looking at reprints indicated for this issue. So Kitty Pryde and Wolverine #2 from 1984. You can find that in X-Men Kitty Pryde and Wolverine of 2008. The Wolverine Omnibus of 2009 series, issue #1. Marvel Masterworks The Uncanny X-Men series of 2003, issue #11. And the Uncanny X-Men Omnibus series of 2006, issue 4. So those are, and again, I assume that if you don't have it for the first issue, these have the second issue. I would almost have to guarantee they have the first issue in them. And hopefully they will have all of them as we're moving forward. Yeah. I'll kind of pay attention to that maybe around, I don't know, when we talk about 4 or 5, I'll mention reprints again just to see if they're the same books. But there's other places that you can find these.
Yeah, it was collected at one point. I'm sure that's out of print, but I have a digital through Comixology. I bought the digital collection of the 6 issues. I have the originals up my attic, and then I got the scans for the show.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny too because literally the day before I saw that post by Billy D showing that he got the 6 issues. I was getting ready. I saw that you and he had finished your Magazines and Monsters series talking about the Jack Kirby
Black Panther.
So I thought, well, I'm going to listen to that. And then I decided, as I started to listen to it, I realized, wait a minute, I have all these issues because you were the one that brought it up in the episode, how Comixology gave away all those Black Panther stuff when Chadwick Boseman died. So I had the issues, and so I stopped listening, and now I'm going to read. I finished the first one.
Okay,
6 issues, and so
that was. I don't necessarily understand why people wouldn't, but you certainly have to be a fan of Jack Kirby to get anything out of those, because it is Jack Kirby almost completely off the leash. Now he, being at Marvel, he does have some controls, and he stays within Black Panther. So I mean, self-imposed and probably Marvel imposed control on it. But otherwise, as far as what he does with the Black Panther, some of the characters and just some of the storyline, it's like,
Yeah. Well,
what? It's
just
it's just Jack
that
Kirby.
first issue. I mean, come on, it's called King Solomon's Frog. That
Yeah.
So yeah, folks, magazines and monsters. I think the he's got a lot of stuff on that feed. He talks to a lot of people. He looks at a lot of books. But you and him had done, what was it, four episodes.
There should be a total of 6 because we talked about 12 issues.
Oh, okay.
And so we talked about two issues each episode. So there should be 6. And that's not all of that volume of Black Panther. It went another 3 or 4 issues, but that was all that Jack Kirby did. Okay. So that's what we talked about. And actually, I think maybe sometime this year, I think Billy and I are going to start talking about another Kirby creation from, if I recall, the DC side of things. So if somebody is a Jack Kirby fan, that probably will appeal to them. Somebody talking about Kirby stuff.
I will try to remember to stick a link in the show notes to
okay, yeah. I think we advertise it enough and everything. I appreciate it. It's,
I was having fun with the episode up to the point where I was like, you guys had maybe gotten to page 2 of the issue. And I thought, this sounds crazy. I got to read this. I'm going to have more fun listening to this because what I was doing, I was at work. And so I was listening to it. And then I had my tablet open with the issue open. So I'm like doing work, and when you guys would talk about stuff, I'd look down and go, "Oh yeah," and then
you could see what we're referring to, but you're not reading it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So after that second page, I was like, "Nah," stopped, moved something else up in its place, and
it's fun.
All right.
So those are the places to find Kitty Pryde and Wolverine reprinted. Otherwise, as Steven said, we are looking at the originals.
Yes. Yeah, if you're viewing the video, you will see the scans as we talk about them, and we will be saving the ads till the end.
Okay, I won't mention ads. Okay, duly noted.
You will be struck down.
I know. I feel admonished now. It's like, oh wow, okay.
That's not what I was trying to do.
But inside the cover is an ad. Oh no, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
There are a couple of good ads in this one. Because I think there's a Saturday morning cartoons ad that I'm going to really talk
about. Those are always killer because I always watched one network. So those were my quote unquote favorite. I might remember what was on another network, but if there were 1 or 2 on a specific network, I just tuned it at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whenever it started, and just ran all the way through to noon when everything went off. So sometimes it'll be stuff that it's like, oh, I never did watch that one because I was watching ABC at the time and it was CBS or whatever. Yeah.
I totally skipped around because you had like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, I think, on NBC.
Sure.
But then like Dungeons and Dragons was on CBS and, not at the same time. So I had gotten my TV guide out and
and you knew when to switch. Now, the problem though was for me, and I would imagine for you, you could never guarantee the reception of anything other than what you're watching. If you're watching it, then chances are it's good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't remember if, on a summer's day, clear Saturday morning, if CBS came in or if CBS had to come in the middle of winter when it was cold and, and so for all of you kids out there, that's what we had to deal with is we got 2 to 4 channels. That's it. And maybe we even had to go outside and physically turn the antenna to improve one of those channels. I mean, it was like way harsh and horrid and so, but what always did come in was PBS.
Oh yeah.
I don't care what your weather situation, what your antennas are. PBS came in clear as a bell, even though most of the time it's not what you wanted to watch.
Yep.
It was there.
See, now for me, I feel like by 1984, which is when this issue came out, we may have had cable by that point.
Oh, no, I never had cable. I didn't have cable until I grew up and went to college.
Oh, all right.
Because we lived on top of a mountain on a ridge, and we were the last house on the road. So it's not going to be economical for them to run cable out, 4 houses to us. So We never had it. I went to school for years hearing people talk about these shows, and I'm like, I have no way of getting that. I don't know what that is.
We grew up in it was weird because we were in town, but we were the first house on the block as the town was expanding.
Mm-hmm.
And so for most of my childhood, it was like 3 lots in front of us right across the street were empty with trees. So it was like being out in the country in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was in town in the back. So
okay. Yep.
We kind of got the best of both worlds.
Yep. You were right on the edge of town. So
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Today we're looking at Kitty Pryde and Wolverine #2 from Marvel Comics. This issue sports a cover date of December 1984, though it hit the stands in September. It sold for just 75 cents, and it is entitled Terror. It was written by Chris Claremont with art by Al Milgrom. The letters were by Tom Orzechowski, and the colorist was Glynis Wein. So let me tell you what happened in the issue. I remember in the last episode, I had such trouble with this synopsis because I grabbed it from marvelfandom.com, and they did a weird thing where they ended a sentence with the word Tokyo like twice.
Right. Yeah.
So I did some rewriting on this one. After discovering her father's issues with Japanese gangsters, Kitty fights back and escapes. But Ogun wants her as his payment for helping Shigematsu, and so he finds her and he takes her. Meanwhile, Wolverine has arrived in Japan. Kitty is broken down in stages, first mentally as her memories are erased, and then physically through relentless training at the hands of Ogun. When it's over, she emerges a lethal ninja loyal only to her master. Meanwhile, Wolverine invades Shigematsu's home, asking for answers about Kitty, and then Shigematsu and Ogun arrange a meeting with Wolverine for the next evening. As the issue ends, Ogun tells Kitty that he has a new enemy, and she will have to kill him. Ed, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. The place in the X-Men mythos that the story fits into, I've always been a fan of. It's very fundamental for the Kate Pryde. I don't think she really goes by Kitty anymore. Is now, because this is the changeover from the 12 to 13-year-old girl who we first encountered running around in an X-Men story while they were trying to recruit Dazzler, to the Kate Pryde that you see now that has run her own school for mutants, has captained the team on several occasions, even for a little while broke off not wanting to do the X thing, living in Chicago, and spent time as a bartender, I think was her job. And the adult, like you and I, Kate Pryde now, this is the change. This is her, what would it be in Jewish culture? The bar mitzvah, right? Not the bar, but the bar, I think, for a female. This is her, this story is her transition from childhood into adulthood. So I enjoy it. I have always enjoyed it. And I certainly understand and enjoy its place in the X-Men story as a whole.
Yeah. And, as I was reading this one, I couldn't help but think, last episode, I said that this was my first comic that had Kitty Pryde in it.
Mm-hmm.
But, now knowing that she was in the comics for 2 or 3 years before this, I feel like the whole segment where she's being transformed would have hit me a lot more had I had more experience with the character.
Right. That whole segment brought to mind a couple other things as I was reading it, because I read it this morning. And I'll throw those out there if I can remember where I was this morning when I was reading. I probably have forgotten already, but we'll see.
And also, I can't help but think Chris Claremont kind of did this again in the 90s with Psylocke, taking a very non-ninja character and turning them into a psychic ninja. Not in the same way, not for the same reasons.
Right. The final product, Yes, but the journey, he
Yeah.
went a completely different route with the
Yeah.
journey, and the the journey was, in essence, maybe it was clear to Claremont at the time, but it has confused and continues to confuse people to this day as to what exactly he did and didn't do, and what and did and didn't
Because
happen, and yeah, it's
it wasn't just her physical capabilities that changed, it was her physical appearance that changed.
her appearance, her capabilities, the bodies were involved. So it was like the mind, soul, and body of two people. He, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call, which you guys on the podcast can't see this, but this is
He's
international sign language. Yeah, no, it's not.
he's
I'm
doing
kidding.
magic hands.
Yeah, he just, and I mean, I thought at the time when he was doing that in the early 90s that I understood what he was doing. But now, as people are new to the character and they bring up their confusion, I understand that, oh, yeah, he didn't really address that, did he? So now I'm confused as to what exactly, whereas once upon a time I thought I had it down. So
You know,
he did it better here than he did there.
yeah. I've just always assumed that he thought that the X-Men needed more like badass ass kicking ladies. And rather than just create a new one, he took one that maybe
Well,
he thought wasn't badass and made, yeah.
sure, but you have to admit that whatever he did, Jim Lee in drawing it kind of just took off with it.
Yeah.
It's
I
you
just,
know
I
it.
just
She
read those reviews recently.
she might be badass, but she looks badass in a completely different way
Yes.
under Jim
Yeah.
Lee's pen. So
Yes.
it's maybe that's what they were after, because remember at in the early 90s you were in the middle of the bad girl era.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the X-Men didn't really have, there were no bad girl. Kitty certainly wasn't. She
No.
was still, at the time she would have still been 16, 17. You can't bad girl that and
Yeah.
get away with it in mainstream comics. So Jean Grey, Storm, no, they were already using Storm for, so they had to make a bad girl, and I think that was the main reason they did the way they did it. I mean, it wasn't bad, but the more they tried to explain it, the more confusing it got. I'm like, yeah, just
All right. You ready to get into this issue?
let's do it. Let's start at the cover.
Yeah, take us through it, boss.
The cover is really cool, I think. The cover essentially is a face with an angel and demon motif, but a smaller character on each shoulder. So you've got the main character that is split on the artwork. It's Kitty Pryde's face on the right hand side with Wolverine on her shoulder, and it is let's see. Can I say who this is? Did they say by the end of the issue who this was?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, this is Ogun wearing his red mask as the main head, and then I believe it's him as his ninja self, his normal training as the little character.
Yeah, it's definitely him on the shoulder, but I think it's still Kitty in the mask because she does wear the mask.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, that would make sense. One person.
Yeah.
With the angel and okay, yeah, I'm sorry. She's wearing the Ogun mask,
which creeped me the hell out back then, man. That
it's
mask.
Yeah, it's pretty funky. It's pretty funky. And I don't quite understand, but I believe there is a Japanese belief reason why the mask is the way it is and why he used it. And the main reason I say that is because in subsequent appearances of this character, he always has that red mask on. So it's, I know that there is a lot of, in Japanese folklore, demons and masks that represent, because I'm sure that there are different types of plays, and they'll do it in movies and TV shows where the mask represents something, but the mask off is completely different. I mean, it's much more than like we do with a superhero wearing a mask to hide his identity. A lot of times in Japanese culture, the mask is the identity, and to show that is who they are, they wear that mask.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds different. I might not be describing it very well, but there's much more to the mask, I think, in a lot of portions of Japanese culture than there is to wearing a mask for us here in the West.
Yeah, and the split cover thing, they did that with the last issue as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it was splitting Kitty Pryde. She was walking across the cover, and the one half was Chicago or Dearborn, Illinois, or whatever, and then the other half was Tokyo.
Right? Yeah, it was more like a scene. It was more like a scene break. She's here, and then she's traveling there, or what have you. Whereas this is her.
Yes,
this shows either a change or a break, or maybe just a dualness in her. Certainly, it's something that is addressed in the story from here to the end of the story. What exactly this line is it just a line? Is it a clear break? Is it a merging? Is it what have you? So,
yeah, and we'll see the cover to issue number 3 at the very end when we do the next time portion of the episode. It too has a line divided down the middle, but it doesn't. There's not. It's like we'll see it, but it's like they went, well, we put a line in the other two. We got to put a line in this.
Yeah, let's keep that motif going.
It doesn't do anything with this issue.
Yeah.
But
So, getting into the story here, remember, she had just overheard her dad agreeing to do something nefarious to help launder a bad guy's money, because her dad, stepping even farther back, her dad is the president of a bank. The bank has run into some issues, probably just normal economic ups and downs. I would imagine at a bank that an economic down is much more problematic than maybe it is for us, just regular people in that industry. So he's agreed to do some underhanded things to keep his business afloat. It's a family business. Kitty was onto something initially, that something was weird, followed her dad to Tokyo. Now she has overheard a meeting where she heard him actually voice what it is he's going to do. It had been discussed, and he had essentially already agreed to do it without her hearing. Now they took him to the big boss so that he could agree to it in person. And Kitty followed him and has heard him say, agree to what had already been arranged, in essence.
Which was money laundering?
Money laundering.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because in the Jason Statham movie I just watched, War, the one with Jet Li, do you remember that one? It's where
No, I haven't seen it. No.
You haven't seen it? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there was a Yakuza and Triad in the U.S., and money laundering was involved in the whole story there. So, there were ninjas, but not like Wolverine or Ogun or anything.
I did watch Ozark a number of months back, and it's all about money laundering, but the Japanese is not involved at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Ozark is the same. It could be, but yeah,
just the money laundering.
Yeah. So she when she heard, her dad actually agreed to something, she exclaimed, cried out something. She was on the outside of the office listening in at the door, and they have heard that somebody was listening. And so now is the confrontation between Kitty, her dad, and the bad guys that her dad has agreed to work with. One of which we will find out is Ogun, although
they introduced him last issue, so we knew that he was with
right. I don't know necessarily why he is part of all. I don't know if he so
it's not the capacity you would think, and they do make reference to that in this issue, but they still don't clarify exactly what he is to Shigematsu.
Right. My question when they had their little confrontation was, well, if that's the case, why are you even there? I mean, what necessitates you being part of all this if that is your place in the relationship? It was kind of odd.
Yeah, he's paying him for something. We just don't know what.
Right. So we have the confrontation with Kitty, who we know at this point. Well, if you are an X-Men fan, at this point. Now, if you're reading this book for the first time and this is your first exposure, you probably don't realize anything about Kitty other than what you have seen in the book, which this has not been really covered. It does come up now, is that she's a full-fledged X-Man, And essentially, she has gone through all the physical and psychological, but that doesn't play a part too much, but all the physical training that all the other X-Men have as well, as far as being able to handle herself, the different martial arts, using her powers on and off to give her physical advantages and things like that. So she makes mention that she was trained by somebody who is the best at what he does, or something, which is a reference to Wolverine.
She uses his name.
Okay. And we know that he is aware that something is up from the first issue too. So, I don't know that we necessarily saw what he was doing. I don't remember in the first issue. I don't think so. He just knew something was up.
Yeah, he was smoking that weird cigarette or cigar or whatever, and he had a muscle shirt on. That's all we
just
know.
Relaxing. Yeah. And now we've seen him mentioned, and we saw him. Which, if for those of you that didn't know, he was on the cover. He was the little guy in the outfit on Kitty's left hand side. So the three muscle attack her. One of which is pretty obviously a sumo wrestler, because he's 2 to 3 times the size of the. Actually, these three guys put me in mind of the 3 bad guys that Spider-Man faced from the Magia really early in his career.
Yeah, they had a name too, and I can't think of what it was.
Yeah, there was a cowboy, there was a dandy, and then there was a big bullish kind of tank dude. And they were, I forget, they were muscle for the Magia, and early, like in the first, 15, 20 issues of the first Spider-Man, that he ran into them. So Kitty, I don't know, she handles them pretty well. She, in trying to get away here, I guess, I'm not sure why she decided to knock down the head guy, Shigematsu, but on the way out of the office, she knocks down the 3 that are chasing her, and in getting away from them, she knocks down Shigematsu, which I don't know if Kitty understands necessarily, but that is like the ultimate insult in touching him. So now I would imagine he will do anything that he can to catch her. Whereas before, it was one thing. She just escaped. She's better than my men. Okay. But she touches him and knocks him down, and so that's an honor kind of thing. And so she's ratcheted up the reasoning that this man would want to find her, besides anything else going on. She runs out the door, runs by her dad, doesn't even talk to him. He tries to talk to her, which I'm thinking, dog, what are you going to say? I mean, if she knows what you're doing, how are you going to come back from that? Her and her dad are estranged enough that only in the last 10 to 15 years have they had any kind of reconciliation in the comics. They stayed out for a long, long time. And even now, as an adult, there are a lot of things apparently that he did that she is iffy about getting past. It's more like, I accept the way that you are, let's move forward, rather than a bunch of forgiving of the family member and moving forward. Yeah. So their relationship is still really odd to this day. Not necessarily just because of this, but overall the relationship between she and her father.
Well, and I have to imagine what he would say to her at this point would just be him trying to justify, you don't understand it. I had no choice. We were going to lose the bank, blah, blah, blah. But doesn't he understand that if she stops to let him explain, they're going to grab her?
Well, yeah, that too. And maybe he knows that. Maybe he wants her to, maybe he wants their help in stopping her so that he can explain, thinking that will make everything okay. But I mean, it won't, because she still has knowledge that that Shigematsu does not want anyone else other than them in the room to have. So even if she does stop, or they do catch her, it's not going to be good for her. So how does he not understand? My daughter, run and get the hell as far away as you can. And here, I will stand in the way and stop them. You go, you're my child. You go, so yeah. Which I will say, I don't have a daughter. I would be a completely different dad if I had a daughter. I have 2 sons. So, here we see Ogun is helping Shigematsu stand up. And we see a little back and forth. Shigematsu refers to Ogun as an employee, someone that's working for him. And Ogun quickly tells him, yeah, no, that's not the case. I'm not that guy. And I actually kind of resent the fact that you think I'm that guy. So a little...
Yeah. And even says, do not make the mistake of addressing me as such. You know, like, not only am I not the guy you think I am, I'm going to probably cut your head off if you try that again.
Well, if he has any understanding of who Ogun is, then that is implied. I mean, it's not even something that he has to say. But what he does say, Ogun, is that for services rendered, I will take the girl. So don't worry about her. Don't chase after her. She's mine. I'll get her. And when I get her, because you have, quote unquote, allowed me to apprehend her for my own usage, we will consider our bill even. So whatever I've done, this is my payment. You let me get her, which is kind of odd out of nowhere at all, but okay. Yeah. Her dad hears her name because, of course, they're speaking in another language, but a Western name is a Western name, no matter what language you say to. I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize that, but it's like, you know, particularly an American name in French is an American name. Yeah. There is no translation for it there because that's their name. Yeah. So it has to be American.
Parlez-vous français, Bob?
Yeah, it's like that, you know. So they mention her name, and her dad doesn't know in what reference, but he hears her name. He gets upset, and Ogun, we see quickly here that physically Ogun is something. He handles, not that Pryde is any kind of fighter or anything at all, but in the art, Ogun handles him pretty quickly and basically tells him to forget about his daughter.
She's dead.
Yeah. So the next,
let me say real quick, because I don't think they address it in this issue. I don't know if they address it at all in the entire 6 issues, but you get the feeling that Ogun knows about her mutant ability, and that's why he wants her, because with the ability to phase through objects, she's going to be the ultimate ninja.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know how he knows that. I don't know if that's even a correct guess, but that's just the feeling that I've always got, that he knows about her powers, and that's why he wants her. That's why he wants to convert her, because she's going to be the ultimate weapon for him.
I would have to say that even in as much as they show us in this issue, that Ogun is a supernatural being of some amount, some nature, whatever. Perhaps that is what allowed him to understand more about Kitty, even though she's a mutant. She's not magic. She's not, you know, so maybe the fact that he is what he is allows him to recognize other as well, other than human. You know, they are other. Maybe I don't know what they are, but I know they're not human.
He's got such a deep spiritual connection to the world around him that he can.
Now, if he didn't know, he would have to suspect something, because she quickly, as soon as she gets away from everybody, starts using her power. Yeah. So he stopped to talk to her dad briefly, but you know that was so quick that as soon as he stepped outside that office and started looking around and not sensing her or hearing her, something freaky is going on with that girl. What did she do? Even if he was just a regular human. But the next page and a half or so, we see her using her power. She's up in the upper floors of a building, and so they use it kind of as a comedic moment, as she, rather than the normal way, she's a mutant. She hides, just as the normal course of her life. She doesn't want people to know what she can do, because it always causes problems. But here, she is so fearful that she just does it. She starts phasing through the floor after floor after floor after floor, not worrying about what the room is that she's phasing into, just dropping down to the next floor, probably grabbing a breath, phasing to the next floor, grabbing breath. And she does this repeatedly. And you see the reactions of what is it? Actually, different people on just about every floor that she phases into. She gets to the bottom, presumably a basement, a sub basement. Who knows? But she finally gets to the bottommost point of the building, and stops. Now she's already physically suffering. She's jet lagged. She hasn't been able to get a whole lot of sleep. She probably has tetanus or diphtheria or whatever from running around in the sewers all night long. And they tell us repeatedly that she has a case of the flu.
Yeah.
I suspect that is, rather than saying that she caught something from running through everybody's poop, they just use the flu as the fact that she's sick because, So
that's
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit easier to explain to the kids why she's sick. Oh, well, she has the flu. No, she has aspirated other people's defecation, and so now she's at the bottom in the mechanical portion of the building, and we see someone. Have we made the connection with this person in the mask yet? I don't think we have in this story, have we? Okay. So the red mask that is half of her face on the cover, someone in a suit, which oddly enough matches the suit that Ogun was wearing pretty closely, also phases into the, I don't know, he drops down from the ceiling. So I don't know how he got there. Surprises her, blows some kind of smoke into her face, some kind of powder, smoke, whichever. And she collapses, presumably unconscious. So this was some kind of, I don't know, sleeping powder that. So he's acting, although he's not necessarily dressed like it. He's acting very ninja-y, which I suppose is apropos for a Western comic book based in Japan in the early '80s. It's it's only a matter of time before, thanks to Frank Miller, we run into ninjas, and I don't know that it would necessarily happen today if the story was written the same way, but then ninjas were all the hype. They were on TV, they were in movies. We even had American ninjas at the time. It's
all over the place. They really diluted the power of the man.
Now, I will say that this actually that movie War that I was telling you about with Jason Statham, they did a really good job using ninjas.
Okay.
And they just played it off. They didn't say, "Oh, we need to send our ninjas," and "Oh, we need to protect ourselves for the ninjas." They just showed up and they were dressed that way, and it's like, okay, that's the way it would be.
In America, our ninjas come in turtle form.
Yes, and they sing.
Yes,
go ninja, go ninja, go.
Go ninja, go ninja, go.
Yeah, they ride skateboards and eat pizza.
Yep.
Yeah, all those cool things.
Bodacious.
Okay, 1980s at its best. We go back to the U.S., JFK, which is probably our largest on the East Coast international airport. We see somebody going through metal detector and sets it off. Again, if you are an X-Men fan, you recognize who this person is automatically. He's wearing a cowboy hat. He's got a cheroot or a cigar or cigarette, whatever it's going to be. Going through metal detector and setting it off. Well, we obviously know who that is. He gets questioned, what are you carrying? Empty your pockets, whatever. Finally, he tells him, "Dog, I've got metal implants in my bones. I can't. You got to let me pass because I can't take them off. All the documents are in my passport about what I have and why I need it and whatever." So
I loved this scene because that's frankly all I ever had to read was this one scene in this one book, and I never have to question how he gets on and off airplanes again.
Oh yeah, no, He carries documents because what happened, he knows is going to happen. So he has to have something. But could you please step over here? Or can you imagine what it must look like on the x-rays that they go through now? It's like
skeleton.
Yeah, if the metal detector doesn't do it, it's like, what the hell is in there? Yeah,
are those knives in his hands?
What is that? Sir, can you step over here, please? Interjecting a little bit of comedy, I think, is the way this scene is written.
Yeah,
Wolverine has been so many things. He wouldn't have to do this. He could get some sort of spy, military, whatever, but he decides to go to Tokyo the way everybody else does, and that opens it up for a comedic interpretation of Wolverine and who and what he is. All right, we cut at the end of this page to Kitty. She is in a spotlight from above, and she's just standing there. She says she can't move a muscle. Now, these next things are, when I read this as a whatever grade in high school, it would have been, I think, 2 years before I graduated, so that would make me what, a sophomore or a junior, depending on how it works out. I didn't understand necessarily the significance of the next several pages for other than optic the art, what happens.
Yeah.
But in the next several pages, Kitty is literally cut down from what she was to a tabula rasa, or a blank slate, so that whomever this is in the red mask, and we still don't know the two, where the two come together, the red mask and who he turns out to be, yet. But there are several pages. Let's see, 3 pages of the teardown. And what it is she is standing in this pillar of light. So it is only her. And essentially the only thing she can see or be aware of is what is in the light. What is outside the light, she can't know about. And so she's standing in a pillar of light that's, at the base, maybe 6 feet wide. So all the way around her, she is aware. Beyond 6 feet in any direction, let's say, she has no awareness. It's black, and that's all she knows. So things start happening to her from out of the blackness to her awareness. And piece by piece, what she is cut away. Someone dressed as a ninja with this red mask jumps into her frame of light, her visual light, and cuts her outfit off, her skating outfit that she has been wearing since she left the U.S. It's the only thing she had. She then is made to bow. She is further paralyzed by a feather stroke to her neck. Now, all of this is happening with a ninja and a katana, but there is no physical damage to her. So it's cutting off her outfit without cutting into her, and not cutting off her outfit in a sexy way. It's nothing like that. A lot of people will tell you that Chris Claremont was a pervert, particularly when it came to Kitty Pryde. But this, yeah. I don't think there's anything overtly perverty or Epstein-y. Can I use that? Can we make that an adjective now?
Yes, please.
About what's going on here. It's more, to me, it's more disturbing because she is paralyzed and can do nothing but succumb to what is happening to her. She has no control or what is it? The modern term for agency. She has no agency whatsoever. And so nowadays, in particular, this would be, to a lot of people, a much more terrifying sequence than potentially what it was at the time.
Yeah.
But this individual jumps out, cuts off her outfit, strikes her in the back of the neck that paralyzes her vocal cords in the back of her neck. I didn't know that was a thing. But now, again, she's already paralyzed. She can blink, she can talk. But now, in essence, her outer clothing has been removed, although, again, it's not here. It's just symbolically here. She is made to be mute, where she can't talk. She is struck in the back of the knees so that she has to fall to her knees, and she is on her knees now in this circle of light. Then, through several sword strokes, her hair is trimmed back, which there are people and there are cultures that put everything that they are into their hair. So that is being removed. Another sword stroke to the back of the outfit to further remove the top portion of her outfit. And then the final stroke is a touching of her forehead that renders her unconscious, but also susceptible to be what we see on the next page taken to this very matrixy learning kind of place. Now, is this psychological? Is this a spiritual, a mystical kind of? Other than the effectiveness, it's not really addressed how this is done.
You get the sense that you don't know how much time passes, but you got to assume it's maybe even within the same day that
Right.
she's just
Yeah.
He's giving her 14 years worth of training in the span of an hour or
Whatever time. Yeah. Remember, we saw Wolverine. He was leaving the U.S. We'll say that that's approximately the same time that Ogun grabbed her. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure the trip is in the teens of hours, 13, 14, 15, 16 hours by plane to Tokyo. We don't know when he sees her, but we do know when he decides to do something upon arrival, which you can assume, since he's looking for Kitty, he wouldn't have waited 2 or 3 days. As soon as he got into town, he would have gone to try to sniff out her trail, literally and figuratively, sniff out her trail. So we're looking at a day, maybe a day and a half at the most, that the tear down and the building up of Kitty has occurred. Now, the tearing down of Kitty probably was just minutes at a time. It would not have been anything that was required extensive amounts of time. Now, the building up would, because as we see, she is being trained. And the key part of any kind of training is repetition. So the more time she has to repeat what she has learned, the better she gets at it. So that definitely would be a time suck, is just the amount of time it would take her, even in her own head, to go over and over and over and over things until the muscle memory was in place and you didn't think anymore, you just did. And that's in essence the next 1, 2, add 3, 4, 5. It ends in 5. So the next 5 pages of the story are her being built up by Ogun, which I'll just go ahead and say, minus the mask. The dude running around with the red mask is Ogun. I don't know, the evil Ogun, or I don't necessarily understand the difference. But here,
you're probably just getting ready to say it. He's not wearing the mask at all during the training sequence.
No, here he's just a sensei. He's just dressed as one would a sensei, and he is training. We see that fundamentally, Kitty has been torn down to a babe, and so he is working from a weeks, months old child now in training Kitty, and just panel after panel, scene after scene. That's what we do. She learns some katas, which then turn into the actual movements. Of course, for anyone that is not aware, a kata is where you will see a martial artist practicing presumably moves, but there's nobody there. They're not hitting anything, or they're hitting stands and positions that are the end result of the movement, but just minus any force against it. So the way that they will end, the way that a punch ends or a kick ends or what have you, if they just do it by themselves, a lot of times that is referred to as a kata, or just a practice of the movements. So she does that first. Then he trains her with stars, which I've always found interesting, because it's my understanding, I could be wrong, I freely admit that I am not Japanese. Japanese is not a culture that I am familiar with other than just reading. But it's always been my understanding that the stars, they're called, a lot of people call them throwing stars, but originally they were intended to be held. They weren't intended to be thrown. And somewhere along the way, I don't know if when it came over here to Western culture, movies or what have you, they started being thrown. Now, I have also seen movies from Japan, obviously, because I did not understand a thing they said because it was in Japanese. So I assume that's where it was made. They throw the stars also, but I think back in history, that's not what the intent of stars were. They weren't intended to be thrown. They were fist weapons. So throwing stars, and we see Ogun. We see how good he is, and we see, I don't know, 5, 6-year-old, 3, 4-year-old maybe. Kitty. She's not really speaking. She is speaking in her head in Japanese, and we can tell that because what she's saying is bracketed, showing that it's not English. So she is thinking as an adult in Japanese, but yet we see her as a very small child doing this thinking. She is the narrator of the next 5 pages, at least. I think she probably is the narrator for the entire series. If you go back and track it, that would make sense. But yeah. So she's training here. We see with the stars, she is child good. And essentially, this probably is the first time she's ever thrown these. So we see at the top, we see where she's going to be, right? Because that's where Ogun wants her to be. At the bottom, we see where she's starting. Next page is a 2-page. No, sorry, can't talk about that. Next, we see her training with a bow staff. We see her training with Sai, which is Elektra's weapon of choice in the Marvel Universe. And maybe some others, but Elektra comes to mind anytime I see a Sai. It's also what killed her. They're not Marvel. They don't. The Ninja Turtles don't count.
I'm just saying, if you're a TMNT fan, you know them as Raphael's choice of weapon.
Well, a bow. Who is
Donatello?
Okay, and then the Sai is another one. What is it? The sword is one, and then nunchucks is the fourth one.
So. The sword is Leonardo. Bow staff is Donatello, Sai is Raphael, and the nunchucks are Michelangelo.
There we go. All of the, what kind of artists were those? Not romantic artists. I forget the
Renaissance.
Yeah, maybe Renaissance artists. So next, she is practicing. It says tiger claws. Now, I can't really tell. To me, tiger claws are the thing that you have in your hand that come up over your knuckles, kind of like Wolverine's things. I thought those were tiger claws.
You can kind of see them.
Well, you look over here.
Like her hands have claws on them, basically.
Yeah, where he's doing the wrestling move on her here, you see she's got these long extended fingers. And those aren't normal fingers, so maybe that's just a conflation of the two, and the artist just put them together. But she's practicing with some other weapon. She's calling them tiger claws. We can't really see it. Ogun is defending himself with a sword, a katana, more than likely. I don't know that I can tell, but the mission is for her to sneak up on him. Here we see her finally using her power because she's descending. She has come through the wall up high or come through the roof, and she's trying to sneak up on him. When Kitty phases, presumably it doesn't really make any noise. So she's sneaking up on him. She's got these tiger claws. It's a little confusing. She's approaching him from above, but yet she attacks him from below. So she would have had to phase all the way down through the floor and then come back up through the floor. I don't know. But she grabs him. She does surprise him. She grabs him, his legs. But being who and what he is, he quickly overpowers her. And he uses a pretty commonly used wrestling move here. And I can't remember off the top of my head what they call it, to subdue her. So she's close. She did surprise him, but she didn't win the conflict between the two of them. Next page, we see her. She has improved with the throwing stars. She can match what Ogun is doing. Next, we see them sword fighting, and it is real sword fighting. Apparently, he's not holding back because he delivered a killing stroke, but because she can phase, the sword went right through. So this is real. She can be hurt, but he can't necessarily be hurt because she's not good enough yet. Then we see here, this is another example of using katas. She is mimicking what he does using the katana until finally we see her face superimposed over him which to me means the training is complete. He is her and she is him, is the way that I would quickly read that. We see her. You trying to find that, or
Yeah, I must have missed
it
that.
doesn't look like it doesn't look like that page is in there, because I've got that one. Or yeah, they're fighting. He goes through her, and then my next page is this page of the sword katas. Yours is after this, isn't it?
Yeah, hold on a second. I'll find it. It's going to take a little pause here, folks.
And then we see that the training is complete, and kind of as the signal of that, she is now wearing, not necessarily complete ninja, but like something more akin to what the sensei was wearing, and not the skating outfit she was wearing. A dark gi, maybe is what it's called. And again, I apologize. I'm not sure if that's completely correct. But she's her sword from where she's been practicing with it, steps out of the light. Now they're using this light again because that is Kitty, and that's all Kitty knows is that light. So she steps out of it, and over next to her on the floor is this red demon mask, much like what we saw on the. No, it's not showing it either. Maybe mine is wrong. I don't know.
No, I found it. It just I renumbered it wrong. Let me.
Oh, okay.
Try to get it back pulled up.
The red demon mask we saw half of on the cover, but also the demon mask that Ogun was wearing when he kidnapped Kitty. She reaches down and puts it on. So between the superimposed face that they have here and her putting on the mask that he formerly had, I believe that is signifying that her training is over. She is what Ogun ultimately wants her to be.
All right, I found it. Just a second. Just got to share it.
Anybody else joined us yet? Can you tell?
We've had one or two showing every once in a while.
Yeah, there it is. There's the kata, the first, 1, 2, 3, 3 lines, and then the fourth line there, you see her face. It's kind of hard to tell, but her face is in blue superimposed over his nose.
Yeah.
Training is complete. And then we see her really for the first time. The short hair from where she had all her hair cut off, the dark gi, the dark practice outfit, and she reaches down and puts on Ogun's mask. She assumes that persona, which originally was what we saw Ogun personifying. So now her training is complete. He has gotten Kitty to where he wanted her to be for reasons I don't think we are really aware of yet. That whole portion of the story seems kind of lacking in detail. We don't know why. We don't know how. Why did he fixate on Kitty after the one meeting? Don't know. Why did he go to all this effort to tear her down and build her back up right now? We don't know. Now, for the rest of the story, it becomes an integral part of the story. And in retrospect, you can say, well, that's why he did that. But saying something in retrospect is kind of implying a reasoning that may not have been the reason. It's the reason that you assume, having seen what happens, but it doesn't mean that is the original reason of anyone involved. You superimpose your understanding on what actually happened and say, oh, well, that's what happened. And it's like, well, we don't know that.
My cat's going to interrupt us. Come on.
Okay.
Just keep going.
Nope. I like it here. Oh, no. I like it here. All right. All right. So the next day, a day later, however much later, we're back in Tokyo. We see Matsuo I'm sorry, not Mitsuo, Shigematsu, coming back to his office with his entourage there. They've gone to conduct business somewhere else, coming back to his office. And lo and behold, someone is there waiting, sitting in a seat, has a lighter or a matchstick. I figured that what he was doing was he was probably actually lighting a cigarette.
Yes. Yeah.
He didn't care that they could see him.
He says, "Evening, gents."
Several of the bodyguards take shots, but he is no longer in that chair. He can move that quickly. Again, those of us that know Wolverine, those that may not be familiar with Wolverine, if you're reading, first of all, if you're reading this for the first time, why have you waited so long? This is an excellent series, but I'm glad you are. Then we see the Claws, and he attacks the two gentlemen that took shots at him. I would assume killing them.
There's a bit of red here in these motion lines, so I'm assuming that's like blood spray.
He could have done anything. He could have cut the guns. He could have cut their hands off. He could, I imagine that he killed them.
Yeah.
So now it is Shigematsu and his two ladies of the evening that were accompanying him. He must have had a good time in the old town last night. But come to find out, no, actually, they are hidden in that they are, and I'm throwing up quotes here. Nobody be pissed at me. They're just females. And I should know this. What are the ladies of service called in Japan, Steeven?
Oh, I know. I just don't know.
Yeah, but they don't have the makeup. They're not in makeup. They are just dressed. One is wearing, I guess they're both wearing kimonos. One is a solid color and the other has flowers. But they are accompanying Shigematsu. All of a sudden, when Wolverine gets up to him and he starts talking smack, they attack because they are part of his guard entourage. They're just kind of hidden in that they are only women.
Yeah. Geishas,
yes. I assume that that's what they are supposed to be, but again, they're not the formal because they don't have the all the hair and the makeup and everything like you normally see geisha. Maybe they're just ladies of accompaniment for whatever meaning a Japanese older gentleman would have females accompanying him. Some other kind of service rather than having a manservant. He has two female servants, but they're bodyguards. They attack Wolverine, and he doesn't kill them, I guess, because you can't kill women in comic books. He just punches them both with steel laced or adamantium laced bones. That's akin to hitting them with a baseball bat. So they're going to be out for a while.
I like his reaction too when they, because he approaches and he's like, "Beg pardon, ladies. Shigematsu-san and I have got private business to discuss." And then they attack him and he goes, "Oh, they're bodyguards too. Nasty."
He had to have guessed that. I mean,
Yeah.
And for but just for those of you that don't know, Wolverine is very steeped in Japanese culture. He spent a lot of time there. It's one of his favorite places to be. So he would know a lot more about what's going on. He would be the narrator in pieces like this, telling us what's going on, because us standard Western people, we wouldn't understand. But the Canadian who spent time in Japan, he would know, and he can tell us. So I figure he knew that at the very least, he knew there was a very good chance that they were. But he acts surprised, takes them out. Seems that Shigematsu knows who he is. I don't know if that's reputation or if they have met before. Wolverine seems to come across as kind of more familiar than, "This is the first time I've ever interacted with you also." Although he doesn't really, I don't think there's anything particularly that he says that relates that, but it seems to be.
Yeah, you get the feeling that he is known. He's a known person in the Japanese underground.
Yeah, he probably is pretty high up, and knowing now that there are superheroes and somebody who could come against him if somebody hired him, Shigematsu would be aware of who Wolverine is. Wolverine asks for Kitty by name, and first Shigematsu is like, "Oh, I don't know," but of course that quickly goes away. he makes a telephone call to Ogun as Ogun. He answers the phone, talks to Shigematsu. Now, what is he did? Complications regarding our arrangement. Wolverine, how unfortunate. Then he says here in the next panel, he refers to Wolverine by name. So he does know Wolverine.
Yes.
He calls him Logan. And then goes to Kitty. And she is kneeling in the dojo with the black outfit and the mask on, the long and short sword, the katana, and the whatever the short sword is called, laying on either side of her, preparing to what she's waiting. She's waiting for a mission. She's ready to go. Her swords are laying there, and he tells her, "Are you ready?" She says, "Hi, Sensei." And then he yells, "Kill her!" And for a moment there, before the page turn, which there's also an ad there, so it's a 2-page turn, I was like, kill her who? What do you?
Yeah.
Wolverine is in town, and you know Wolverine, so he's going to sick Kitty on Wolverine. But then he says, kill her, and I'm like, wait, who is her? What? Then you get to the scene.
The short katana, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, is called a
Wakizashi.
Wakizashi
And a katana. Yeah, the matched pair, a long sword and a short sword. Yeah. So yes, you did pronounce it correctly, as far as I know. And again, I say things like I know. I say them to the best of my ability, and I will never claim to know 100%. I am constantly being re-educated on things that I thought I knew how certain things were pronounced, but then I actually hear someone pronounce them, and I'm like, wow, for years I have screwed that up. Okay.
There's a joke in an episode of How I Met Your Mother that's all about how everybody has a blind spot when it comes to knowledge. There's a piece of knowledge that maybe everybody else knows, but that one person, because it's their blind spot. And for the main character, Ted, it was the word chameleon. He had always read the word. He'd never heard anybody
heard it pronounced. Okay.
Yeah. So he pronounced it chameleon.
Okay.
And he's corrected at one point. And he goes, no. I think you'll find it's chameleon.
That is perfectly reasonable. A really, really good friend of mine spent more time growing up reading than he did hearing or listening. So over the course of our friendship, there have been a host of words that he has mispronounced. And one day I just asked him, how do you know how to say that? That's not a word that you come up against very often. And he's like, well, I've read it. And I was like, that's what it is. You've read it your whole life. You said it in your head this way, and you never heard anybody pronounce it. So you have no idea. Yeah. So, and he was also colorblind. I don't know if there was any connection there between the two about wiring or anything, but yeah. I tried to be nice about it, but every now and then I just had to giggle with some of them. I'm like, what is that word? Oh, and then I would think of the word and think of how it's spelled. And I'm like,
yep, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. I see you. So we find out, sorry for all the asides, guys. This is part of our friendly banter that one person that listened liked. So we'll run with it.
Tangenting.
Yes. Now we see Killer. 2, 4, 6, presumably ninjas. That's the way they're dressed. Drop out, pop up, come from behind, whatever, and attack Kitty. I guess Ogun, I don't know. Maybe this is her warm up to send out, rather than like athletes and wrestlers who will go and they'll pump up a little bit before they get into their actual event, so that's why they come out all sweaty and everything. Maybe this is what ninja assassins do. They kill 10 or 15 people before they go after their target.
I think maybe I may be wrong, but I think when we get to the end of this little bit, I think he says that was her final test and you're ready or something like that.
Okay. I would think that the final test was going hand to hand with him and surviving. I mean, that's, it's fighting multiple people is different. Yes. But I mean, come on. The master fights you one-on-one and you don't die.
Yeah.
What more is there? Doctor Strange. In panel 1, that ninja has a sai, and he must have stolen from Andre the Giant. Look at the size of that thing.
Yeah.
Okay, easy now. No sexual innuendos, okay?
That's
Just
Billy
because
D.
the sai is big doesn't mean anything else, Billy. Come on now.
Billy D on the YouTube. Yeah, but that's a big sai in that guy's hand. That's big.
Yeah, they extend maybe the length of the hand if you hold him, but yeah, this dude's is like
He's just a little guy.
He's a Gojira sai.
Yeah, maybe he's just a little guy.
So they attack the demon mask wearing Kitty, and it doesn't do anybody any good. She phases here at one point and really freaks the dude out because he wasn't aware she could do that. Using another weapon that we haven't seen previously, the scythe. Here we've seen several of the more popular in the West, anyways, martial arts, particularly Japanese martial arts weapon. We even see a weighted chain here in one part that's the opposite of the scythe, a tri-staff. The one guy's so they're pulling out all of the major martial arts weapons that you're going to see in movies, in Western movies. Now, I have seen Japanese movies that I'm like, I didn't even know that thing, whatever it was, existed. That is a nasty look at and it's. Yeah.
I've never heard that weapon referred to as a tri-staff. I've just always referred to it as the weird nunchucks.
I've seen it as a tri-staff. I don't know if that's its official name, but yeah, it's nunchuck plus one. It's
chucks. Billy D says Al Milgram was watching some Canon films. Yeah.
Why, making the big sigh or just the artwork in general, Billy? So she finally defeats the final dude, and says now this is also something I noticed, and it was addressed here at the end. In fighting all of these men, she never unsheathed the sword, which to me shows that ninja weapons shows that she doesn't feel that she needed the sharp edge of the blade to beat these guys. So she is tumbling and hitting and striking and everything with a sheathed sword and is still defeating them.
I've always liked that when I've seen that in movies. It's
that,
like, I'm not going to, unless I desperately need it, it's kind of a last, the last choice. It's like,
I don't have to do this. Yeah, I can beat you without, maybe I can beat you without killing you. Maybe that's what it means. But yeah, I think it's a martial insult that you didn't even try your fullest in this fight. You didn't even unsheath your weapon. And
there in the Wheel of Time books, there's a race of people called the Aiel, and they live in the desert, and they're known as like the best fighters in the world. And one of the things that they do to steal someone's respect, to give them great shame, is during battle, if you just touch them, you touch them bodily, you automatically bring them great shame, and they become your slave basically until their shame is repaid. And it's just, they call it stealing their toe. Which
in a fight, they're actually fighting and they get close enough just to touch. Yeah. Okay.
So I can see that. TOH, and it's meant they're stealing your respect, and
I don't even have to do anything. Watch this. I'll get close enough that I can touch you.
I got close enough to just touch you, and you couldn't keep me away or cut me or anything. Yeah.
There's a scene in one of the X-Men books focusing on Wolverine for that story, where the story starts where he's out running around in the wilderness somewhere, and it culminates in him getting close enough to a doe to touch it. And that's all he was after. He's running around days chasing this deer and all this stuff just to get close enough to touch it. And,
So before you get going any further, I do want to point out the middle of this page where she's running with the sword at the guy.
Okay.
I mentioned last episode some of the action scenes that Al Milgram drew. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It looks like, because it's just her posed with one foot up and holding her sword. It's kind of a running pose, and then all these speed motion lines coming off of it. So it just looks like someone has taken a cardboard cutout of her in that pose and just moved it across the screen.
Yep.
Right? It doesn't give me any sense that she's moving her body. It's that this silhouette is being moved, like really poor animation, basically.
Of all the hundreds of camera angles that there could be,
Yeah.
the easiest to show what is going on is probably this that
Yep.
he's used here. Yeah. And okay, so perhaps it is as you used, a blind spot in his art.
Maybe.
That's fine. You know, he can draw horses, he can draw motorcycles and cars and buildings, but movement is kind of squishy. So
some of it though is really good. That one panel where he taps the sword against the back of her knees to make her kneel.
Yes.
That is a great looking, you know, they got the little, like, it
but
looks like he's moving the sword a certain, yeah.
That's not a full body running. Right. I mean, this is a whole different level of movement.
Because, and I know this isn't the first time in this series that we see something like this. We'll see it again.
No. Or if it's not a weakness in his art, it could be a speed issue. To get the artwork in because of a time crunch. Yeah. This is perhaps how he chose, or how the writer chose to direct him to do it, to get it done and move on to other things. Because there are other portions that you can tell he seemingly had all the time he needed in order to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to take any away and say, oh, you know, this artwork looks rushed. How do you know that?
Well, and I also got to wonder about the idea of pre-drawn panels, like layouts without any, just blank panels. I came across, while I'm reading the Man of Steel collections, the John Burns, there were like 2 issues that he did in a row, and I think one was a Superman issue, and then one was an Action Comics issue, where there was one page that was on both issues were laid out panel wise exactly the same. And the very bottom panel was this long, narrow panel that just had somebody's face in it. And it was so full of word balloons. They were talking that you couldn't even see most of their face was covered by the word balloons. And I thought, the first time I thought, well, that was weird. And then when I saw it again in the next issue, I'm like, that's even weirder. I wonder if he's just using, one of the reasons he's so fast is because he spends time he's just got these pages that are already ready to go with the panels, and then he just fills in with the art.
Right. Could be. Yeah.
And so you get to something like this, and it's like, okay, well, I need to, you know, this is like the only choice he could really do here in that space. So,
well, and at the time you're talking, he was first of all writing multiple books.
Yeah.
And then if he is also doing the artwork for multiple books, somewhere there is not enough time. I mean, it's you know, you got to, so yeah. Just as she's about to deliver the felling blow to this final dude, she has pulled her sword. She didn't choose to kill anyone else. This dude with the weighted chain, which has a name, and the scythe on the other end, she draws her sword and charges, and just as she's about to kill him, Ogun stops her. I would presume that the test was not to kill, but it was to overcome multiple assailants, and she did that. And so there's no reason to. Plus, honestly, somebody that is skilled enough to go up against her and maybe go up against him, to have on your staff, they're not a dime a dozen. So I mean, you know, replacing this dude is going to be a little difficult. So if I don't have to sacrifice him, I'll hold off. It's. She asks, I did well, Sensei. And I like how we see that she was a child, 12, 13, 14 years old. And she still is, because you can see the difference in the stature between her. She is roughly Damien size of the Damien Batman currently going on. So she is still a very young person. Ogun is we presume he's a man, but he's a grown man. So you see the difference in stature in this one panel. And I like that, because even with all the training, he didn't age her up. He just trained her.
Yep.
And that is a direct difference in another situation that came up 84. I believe it came up already in the X books, a miniseries called Magic, where we see something happen to Colossus's sister, where she physically ages up as well as her knowledge ages up with her. commensurate with the amount of years that she ages.
Yeah.
She has that much more training, and so when she comes back from where she was, she is older with more knowledge. So it's both. Whereas this one, it's just a more knowledge, but no more age difference.
Yep.
She still is the same age as when she started. So he stops her. She asks for positive strokes, and he gives her a positive stroke, calling her a daughter of the demon. So I guess that's how he refers to himself. He is the demon. So he got the phone call from Shigematsu informing him that Wolverine wanted to talk to the girl. Then we cut to this series of him finally testing Kitty.
Yeah. I think he literally puts Shigematsu
put it on hold. Yeah.
One moment, please. Bloop,
yeah. It's like, yeah. We don't know. This could have been several hours of trial here for her to do this. But then now Ogun gets back on the phone. Because right here he says, "Thank you for waiting." So he's like, hold on just a moment. And he puts the phone down, and then he goes and tests his pupil there. Yeah. Arrange for a meeting for tomorrow evening. The girl will be there. So we're starting to see that Ogun has something. There's something about Wolverine and he's got we even have do what?
They have a past together.
Right. We even see a picture of the two of them here sharing a meal. Just talking heads between she and he, Kitty and Ogun. Ultimately, we see that he is going to send Kitty to try to kill Wolverine, and she's all for it, which shows that she doesn't know Wolverine the way that she did just whatever days ago or however long ago it's been. Yeah. And you see that there's going to be a martial confrontation between the two. Up until this point, there is no way in HE double hockey sticks that Kitty could ever have had a chance of killing Wolverine physically. And so now the fact that that is a possibility, that just blows an X-fan's mind at this time. It's like, no, there is no way, even now, there's no way she can beat Wolverine. It's, so we're going into the next issue thinking that perhaps that'll be the case, perhaps not. We'll have to wait and see if she can hold her own against Wolverine. If she can, this is a completely different Kitty than what we saw at the beginning just 2 issues ago.
Yeah.
So,
heck, it's a completely different Kitty that than what we saw at the very beginning of this issue. Yeah. So she's very, very different from what we're expecting. And that is where we stop. We'll have to wait to see anything about a confrontation. Maybe we'll get some more understanding about what it is that, sending your prized pupil out to kill somebody, you've kind of got a mad on about that person. And we haven't seen that or heard it as far as what Ogun and Wolverine's deal is. We don't know what their relationship was, but they obviously have some kind of past.
Wolverine certainly didn't bring anything up in talking to Shigematsu. And in that Ogun had been in that office recently, Wolverine would have smelled him, at just to put it bluntly. That is the kind of character that he is. And he doesn't show as being made aware that Ogun is even involved in this yet. So he's blindsided by that. He can't see that. And now Ogun is sending his prized pupil, even over all of his bodyguards and what have you, to kill Wolverine. From what we can tell, out of nowhere as far as a reason. Now, again, we see that there's a relationship. There's a picture of them eating food together, breaking bread. So they were close enough to share meals at one time. And now they're close enough that Ogun is sending his prized pupil to kill Wolverine. So that's a pretty dramatic difference there.
Yep. All right. Let's look at some ads.
All right, ads.
And then we'll talk about our last final thoughts on the book.
Okay.
So this is the same ad we had in the previous issue. It's the Super Mario ad. So let's skip that. This is Sideways. This is we get an Oreo ad. Imagine Oreo cookies everywhere. It's one of those find the pictures within the picture. And you're supposed to find all the Oreos. You
can color it. Color the Oreos.
Color right in there.
Yeah.
They're very obvious to find, but it tells us if you turn the page over that there are 62 Oreos plus 25 in package.
There's 62 out? Really? I didn't think there were that many, but okay. And 25 in this okay, I see the package here. But it's like the rest of these equals 62? That's an awful lot.
Unless they're counting the 25 in the package.
Well, since they said it specifically, I would say not.
How many Oreos can you find? The cat's eyes are Oreos.
Yes. The flowers are all Oreos. The blooms.
The record on the record player is an Oreo.
Yep.
Yeah, they're all over the place. Our next ad is a ad for Saturday mornings, starting Saturday, September 15th on CBS.
CBS, yes.
We've got Muppet Babies, which I was known to watch. So I would have been 12 at this time.
Okay.
So Dungeons and Dragons was a big favorite of mine. Pole Position I watched. I remember Pryor's Place. The ad features Richard Pryor front and center, and he's like holding, I don't know what that's supposed to be, that he's holding a TV maybe, and I don't know, but all the shows are coming out of it, whatever it is.
This is I think this is Richard Pryor pre-Freebase.
Maybe.
He looks like Richard Pryor here.
Yeah.
So
we also have Saturday Supercade, which had the Q*bert, the Space Ace,
Donkey Kong, and Kangaroo, which I think are 3 of the 4 are games. I don't remember a kangaroo being a coin op, but maybe it is.
I don't remember that either. But yeah, of all these shows though that they're showing, there's also something called the Get Along Gang. I don't remember ever watching that.
Yes, that's
Dungeons and Dragons. I definitely watched every Saturday, and Pole Position. I definitely watched.
Yes.
And I know I watched some Muppet Babies. There probably wasn't anything else on, but Muppet Babies was fun, even for a 12-year-old.
Yep.
Let's see. Then we get a Saturday morning ad for NBC. Mm-hmm. It's laid out like a comic book. A lot of shows here I didn't watch. There's a Kid Video. Did not watch that. Mr. T. I'm sure I caught that every once in a while. The Mr. T cartoon. Snorks. I watched it enough to know what Snorks is. Pink Panther and Sons. Didn't watch that. There's a live action thing called Going Bananas. It actually looks like a mix between live action and animation. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Heck yeah. Watch that every Saturday.
Yes.
The Smurfs.
I watched the Smurfs. I always enjoyed the Smurfs.
I'd watch some Smurfs. And then Alvin and the Chipmunks, which I'm sure I watched that too. And then there's a little bit for the one to grow on that they'd put on every once in a while.
Right.
The little PSAs. We have a Secret Wars ad, but not for the comic. It's for the toys.
Right.
And we've got the Doctor Doom action figure front and center. I had some of these toys. I had Doctor Doom. I had Iron Man. The black and white Spider-Man. I had Wolverine. He was my favorite because he came with the claws that you would attach to the back of his wrist. Mm-hmm. And I would put those on my G.I. Joes.
Okay.
Which was always fun. But they all came with these shields with those like holographic lenticular motion picture changing things. We had Captain America. They made a Daredevil, which I feel like we had, and they made a Falcon, but those two never appeared in Secret Wars. So that was weird. But yeah. Did you own any of the Secret Wars action figures?
No, I was too
old. Yeah. Oh, too
No, too Yeah. No, I was the right age. I was just the discretionary income was not present at the time for me to benefit from those things.
Yeah.
Although I did have a G.I. Joe. When they first came out, I bought Breaker. And so for the longest time, Breaker was the only G.I. Joe I had.
See, by this point, 1984, I'm trying to think of where my dad would have been working because he was an air traffic controller and he made good money as an air traffic controller. But then, of course, by 1980, they were on strike and they all got fired. I know he went back to school at one point for computers, and he ended up working as a letter carrier. That's where he retired from. But this could have been a period where we didn't have a lot of money, and yet I think my parents really tried to hide that from us.
Yeah, so, my parents perhaps would have preferred to hide it from me, but our entire living situation, there was no hiding the fact that we were not very flush.
Yeah. All right, we got a page of all the small
Oh
ads.
man, yeah, this is even nowadays when I go through my collection and I pull out a book that's old enough, I love to look at these ads, uh, specifically each ad, just to see what in the world they were trying to do.
Yeah,
For the most part, when these books came out, I just glossed over this. First of all, as we just discussed, I didn't have money that I could just spend. So these things I didn't pay hardly any attention to what these were, other
yeah,
than it's not a story page. So I just, so I probably missed a lot of stuff. Doom wearing a garter. Yes, he
yeah.
is.
Billy D. And this is going back to that Secret Wars ad. This is the Doctor Doom after he becomes godlike in the series, because then he makes himself look like the action figure, because they didn't want an action figure that looked like regular Doctor Doom. They wanted to
Okay.
streamline him up and make him look cooler, and so that's why they did it in
Okay.
the issue. But back to this page of ads, some of these were in the last issue, like the one with the switchblade and the switchblade comb and the knuckle buckle, the brass knuckles, which I think is a belt buckle. But we have one here for semi-precious stones.
Okay.
We have, of course, the Mile High Comics ad. We have a ad for learn how to draw your own superheroes.
All right.
And let's see. Then there's a lot of comic book.
This one down here at the bottom,
stores.
I particularly remember
The one
because Thor. Yeah, I remember that Thor holding the banner.
Yep, that's a classic.
But a lot of these, even now, when I pull out older books that have ads like these, I will go to Google and I will Google the address that you send stuff to just to see what comes up or where it is, right? Because there's a piece of me that wants to send letters or what have you to these places to see if they are still what these ads say, or what they are now. That Nightcrawler ad is great.
Yeah. Billy D points out that it's a Golden State Comics ad. Send 25 cents for comics selling list and free protective comic bag in San Diego, and it features Nightcrawler. That a lot of these are like send money or a self-addressed stamped envelope, and we'll send you basically our catalog to tell you what we have.
Right. We'll send you our list, and and those of us that are a little grayer, a little longer in tooth, this is how we found out about other comic books and buying them. There was not even remotely a go online and go to Lone Star Comics or go to, you mentioned Mile High, but go to Mile High or that was not, this was the way that you did it. I remember the first time I ever bought back issues, I put money in an envelope and sent to them, and they sent me and a small list of what I wanted to order, and they sent back the books that I had ordered.
It makes you wonder how many people ran into, because you send an envelope for the list, they send you what at the time they're sticking in an envelope, that's the most current list. You get it, you see something on it, you write, this is what I want. Oh no, we already sold that.
Well, then they would have to, you would order it, I guess, and you would only get part of your order.
Yeah.
Right. And then they would have to explain, well, this is why you didn't get these things. And you're like, oh, and maybe they would send your money back. Maybe they would hold it, hoping that you would buy more. I don't know. I never ran into that because I only ordered like once or twice ever.
Yeah.
But it's so, I don't know. It seems so primitive compared to how you do it now, but it worked. 100% it worked. Letters, there had to be more mail then remotely than there is going through the system now, because the only way we had to communicate about doing stuff is through the mail. You could do things like you do on Amazon, but you had to mail. You mailed an inquiry. They mailed you, yes, we have it. You mailed the order. They mailed what you requested. There had to be so much more mail traffic then. But now they're always bitching about not having enough people and needing more money and everything. I'm like, dog, in 1981, you had to have more traffic than you have now. You had to.
Yeah. And, as a grumpy old man, for me, when I think about collectors getting back issues, buying them online. It's like, that's a cheat. We had to go hunt those things down. We had to work a lot harder than just doing a Google search to see who's selling that issue. But
well, how about if I don't know if you run into this. I do quite a bit because I probably spend too much time on social media, particularly Reddit. How about I want to read Batman. Where do I start?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, kid, you pick up a book and you read it and you keep buying it. And if you like it enough, you figure out what you want to buy that's already been published, find it, and buy it. There is no magic to it. But of course, there are people, oh, well, the best Batman. It's like, dog, back in the day, we didn't have none of that shit.
Yep.
We decided what we wanted. We hunted it up. We bought it. It so frustrates me that, where do I start? And I always want to get on there and say, the beginning.
Yeah. But in 1984, thinking about where do I start with Batman was much simpler than it is today. There's so many different Batmans,
but the answer is still the same.
No, I agree.
The answer now, what the answer involves, yes, I want to read Batman from here on out. Well, dog, every month there are 28 Batman books that you're going to have to keep up with, which is much harder than what we had. Now, growing up, we had 2 Batman books that we had to buy every month, and that, that was it. 2 Spider-Mans or whatever. So for us, getting into was a lot more simple. Also, as far as, well, I want to catch up. Oh, well, for us, we could catch up for $2 a book, and we were good.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's not so easy.
If somebody was to approach me today and say, if I wanted to start reading Batman going forward, where do I start? Batman and Detective Comics. Boom. That's it. Just start reading them.
Yep.
If you pick up an issue and it's number 3 in an arc, then look for those other books.
Right. I would go ahead and try to find story 1 and 2. It's,
Now, my daughter, Palin, who's starting to get into comics, she did ask me, she said she's really digging Nightwing as a character. And she wants to know, what are some good Nightwing stuff to read? And so I pointed her towards the Tom Taylor Nightwing run.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I've read. I said, if you want to get some old school Nightwing, pick up the old Marv Wolfman, George Perez, New Teen Titans, because he goes from Robin to Nightwing during that series.
Right. In that book. And that's the start of who Nightwing was in the New Teen Titans. Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got here ad wise. We got a Bullpens Bulletin.
Yep. Some Hype Box new miniseries coming out, an annual. Crash Ryan. It's part of Epic's. I don't. Although the book Epic, it will be important in the next volume of the comic book Super Show.
But I think I figured out what you chose.
Oh, okay.
A big ad for a place called the Marvel Supermart, which I'm assuming is a store, but they have a bunch of locations.
Yeah, there's several Jeppy locations. Yeah. So,
comic
and even that Canadian location.
Yeah, I think these were both ads in the last issue as well. We got our subscription ad for subscribing to the Marvel Comics with Alpha Flight front and center. I've always enjoyed that one.
Awesome stuff. Yeah.
Our Endless Quest Books TSR ad that we had last time, and we've got a Frogger 2 ad video game, Beyond the Pond. Was that? Yeah, that's the last ad.
Yep.
Anything else?
Standard stuff, man. Just comic book kid. These ads certainly tell you what the target demographic is. Yeah. That's
it's like video games, Oreos, where to get back issues, where to subscribe to Marvel Comics, and
cartoons.
Cartoons. Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays, the ads are all for other books, and I'm like, well, it's you don't have to do that, because chances are, if I'm a fan, I already know about these other books anyway. But just a different mindset. A different demographic, also target demographic, than what we have now. So it's just a different, if you look at everything in the comic book, it makes it feel different than what they feel like today. And that's the main reason why, if I want to read older stuff, and I get the actual comics to read.
Yeah.
Now, some stuff like Golden Age Superman, yeah, it's a little harder said than done. So,
Yeah.
you buy the omnibuy or omnibuses, or so.
All right. Anything else you want to say about this issue? Any final thoughts?
No, sir. It was fun. Continuation of the first issue. I like that. It definitely feels in line with where we started with the first issue. Story is flowing through now 2 full issues. Definitely looking forward to reading more to see what Ogun's beef is.
Yeah, we have questions that need answered. What's the relationship? What kind of past does Ogun and Wolverine have? Why was it seemingly friendly at one point and now Ogun wants to kill him?
Right.
And then it ended on such a great note. Oh my God, Kitty Pryde's going to go try to kill Wolverine, and she may actually be able to accomplish it.
Or is Wolverine going to have to kill Kitty?
Right? Yeah.
Oh man, that's something, the way everything's been set up, it's like, oh, Kitty's going to be able to hold her. But what if Wolverine has to make a call and he has to kill her like he did Jean Grey in the movie?
Yeah.
It's like,
and something that readers who may be used to Wolverine now, something that they need to understand about this time, Wolverine's healing factor was not then what it is now.
No,
he's been hit by they say that as long as there's just one cell left, he can be regenerated.
A drop of blood.
Which
whatever.
I find ridiculous. I always preferred this version where there still was the threat that he could be killed, and that if he was wounded enough, his healing factor took a while. That's the thing as well nowadays. It's like you cut off his arm in one panel and 2 panels later, it's grown back.
Yeah.
That's not the way it was back then. In matter of fact, if he got so wounded and his healing factor really had to work overtime, that tend to be what would put him in his berserker feral rage type of thing, because his body is trying to heal. And so he's just turned into an animal. And that's what the X-Men 205, my favorite single issue of an X-Men comic ever. That's what that issue's all about.
Yeah, it was handled a lot more realistically,
yeah.
which is a funny thing to say, than what it is now. His worry was taking too much damage because he could be killed.
Yeah.
Whereas also we saw at this point that it would take him a while. We would see him continually still injured in stories after a major fight, as he just hadn't finished healing yet.
Yeah. So where it's gone from he's hard to kill, but that's still going to be a threat, to just almost impossible to kill.
Yeah, impossible.
All right, let me wrap this sucker up then.
All righty.
In our next episode, Wolverine faces off against the whole Japanese underworld in his quest to discover where Kitty is and why she had to go to Japan. That's coming up in episode 3 when Ed and I take a look at Kitty Pryde and Wolverine number 3. And I didn't write the name of that one down. Oh, that one's Death. Okay, let me do that again. That's coming up on episode 3 when Ed and I take a look at Kitty Pryde and Wolverine number 3, Death. So until next time, folks, I'm Steven. That's Ed. And this was the Comic Book Super Show. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Ciao.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop my Audacity and get that saved.
Stop.
Comic Book Super Show 02. Steven. Boom. All right. So that's the show, folks. That is the Comic Book Super Show Live, episode number 2. We hope you enjoyed it. When next we meet will be for the Superman Super Show, and I guess we're going to try that next week, Sunday the 8th. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop the live stream. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you all for watching if you didn't join us, but watch it later because that does happen. Bye.